down. There's no ifs, ands, and buts. This is going to be a huge challenge for anybody who tries to do this. And so basically, we're a lot like this group over here, where we have a director of audience, the new buzzword in the industry, or executive editor, over the top of a content editor, content director. They would have two assistants. He would have two assistants, then would divide up the rest of the editors, who would then cover it. We'd have other branches to this, but basically, we really concentrate on audience growth, where we could gain audience growth and change and add to what we're doing now. So our biggest areas is crime and breaking news, obviously, is one of our main core audience drivers. That would be 7. This is covering 24 hours, 7 days a week. Most people go home at 5 o'clock on Friday. There was a murder last Saturday at noon. We had 2 reporters there. So we'd cover 7 days a week. Also, if you see the stars, those are our 5 categories that we've outlined that we want to emphasize to scale out. But we also gave them a direct report. So like we put together health, environment, features, arts and entertainment, food and eating. We had 7, an editor with 6 reports there. That could be expanded. We had sports with golf and fishing, boating. Tim Ayton made great points that you can't just think of fishing and boating as sport or golf. It actually deals with business, deals with travel. There's so many elements, but so that it had a direct report in ours, we put it under sports, and we had 8 people into that. What we did with the communities to have a voice is we created a regional editor who would then have a team of reporters that would cover Marco, Golden Gate, East Naples, Lee County, North Naples, and I have yet to mention here, the Hispanic community. You guys did mention it, but 1 reporter that would do just that. So that would have 6. We have opinion, would have an editor and a columnist, UGC editor, and 2 clerks. We'd like to clarify. We don't think we need fully trained journalists, but somebody, maybe we can get 87, 88, 89. Do I hear 90? We have visual. We really think this is a huge growth area. Huge growth area. And we feel like there should be an editor, an assistant editor, and 8 photo visual people. That they would do both tasks. But this is a huge growth area. Government, we have city, courts, and business together. 1 editor's 5 representatives, 5 reports. Schools, K through 12, we also recognize this as a high growth area. Higher education, 1 editor, 5 reports. And then what we did is had a team of copy editors. If our flow chart would be that the assignment go here, it goes to the reporter then gives it back to their editor, then it's shipped to the copy desk, a copy pool that has a managing editor over a copy with 5 reports. And then they would post it online or send it to the print. They would be responsible. Obviously, breaking news is a different animal, but in the copy flow, that's how it would happen. And then we really bogged down, like I said, we got to another thing. We kind of just broke it out. We had, on the print side, we had 1 editor with 13 reports. They would do the page design for community pubs and the daily. And on the web ed, we had 1 editor and 5 reports with optimization and so forth. Timeline, we really didn't talk about it. Some people said, let's start when we move into a new building. Maybe we can do it and start and then scale out, not scale, but do on a time frame. If we wanted to add reporters, we'd set a date, November 1st, we want to add a reporter. January 1st, we want to add another photographer, and have a time scale. But the longer we wait, the longer we get muddled. I think we could actually go, by the time we open in a new building, go to 1 umbrella. And I think that's all. Questions? Wow. No questions?
How many reporters did you end up with?
Well, once again, we went with the theme, we don't want a lot of managers. We want more people creating content, creating audience. Less managers. You got to remember each one of these have editors over it. I think we came up something like almost 40 reporters and visual journalists and everything. But that's maximizing and making more content, more inventory, as Tim always says, that's going to draw more audience. Less managers.
Tom, where is web development kinds of?
Yeah, that's to be honest, that's the part we kind of ignored, and maybe we have to skim back some of those numbers. Where optimization, what did I like? I liked something on this team over here where they were talking about, I like the idea personally of an optimization person with each team. I know we were supposed to, but that way they get some ownership, some team, and get working on that. I thought that was an excellent idea over there. Anybody? Yes, Katie.
For the community, so the community publications would have, perhaps I'm not understanding, but one reporter?
No, they'd have one editor with 5 reporters.
And then
You got to remember, all this other stuff is also feeding. What we don't have in our flow chart is then after it goes to print, it can go to any product. You pick and choose. After it goes to the copy editors, I should say, it can go to the web, it can go to Vista, it can go to the UGC could supply it, send it to the copy editors, it could go to the Citizen, it could go to the Banner, it goes to anything. The pool of copy then is distributed to any publication.
So who makes that decision?
Well, there'll still be content editors, that's a good point, but we see this person right here taking ownership of like the covers of each of the community pubs and deciding that. But there'd be budgets and layouts.
Who covers overall business? Like regional business?
We have that under here, business, right here.
Some of the 5 things we voted for, where do they fit in on your chart?
They're right here. We make them subcategories of sports. There'd be a designated person for this, but they'd have a direct report to the sports and the fishing and boating. This way the copy or utilization of all that stuff, I think the one thing we worried about is if someone just did golf. Now, let me clarify, I know Tim Ayton for sure thought we should have separate people for that. My worry and some other people's worry was that if you put someone in charge of golf, they don't communicate with sports. And so if he's covering something, how does that get into the sports coverage? There needs to be a line of communication there. That's the one thing some of us worried about. So we also put the arts and entertainment, food and eating, and Everglades under the lifestyles.
One of the other things that occurred to me that I should have asked for the other 2 groups too is we didn't address freelancers and where those fit and under whose responsibility. Where on your chart do the freelancers?
Oh, under mine, my personal is that each of these content editors here, as we call them now, or whatever you want to call them if we did this, would be manage their own resources. So we'll just take crime and breaking news, as I did Saturday. I went and assigned somebody. They would still be in charge of a certain amount. They would get a freelance budget that they would control. Now UGC would just control UGC. I don't see them controlling freelance, in my view.
Can I retroactively ask that question to the other 2 groups too?
John,
do you have a question?
Answer that question where freelance comes in.
The community collaborator editor would be kind of nominally in charge of freelance as well. I think that, like Tom was right though, each of the, editors, content editors for whatever we're going to call them, would handle that also in terms of what they need for their particular, publications.
Eric?
Yeah, it's similar for us. I mean, each one of these squares would have a budget for freelancers, and they would be in charge of doling out freelance to the various areas.
Questions? It's I think a really good question. There's about the freelance. How do you handle it?
I'll have a statement on that.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
We just found out the budget for freelancers got cut. That's why